Hey everybody, and welcome to the 10,155 mile review of the Yuba Mundo. Here is my fabulous cargo bike. It's a longtail. This particular model is a version 3, and they're currently on a version 5. The main differences are the frame material is different. They use a chromoly steel now rather than this one, which is just a high tensile steel. That makes it lighter. They've also taken out a couple of struts on the rear rack. They've sort of changed the design of that. That also makes it a little bit lighter. I think overall the main weight difference is about 10 pounds, so that's about 4.5 kilos lighter the current version. Also these days, what you get with the version 5 is you get a dynamo front hub fitted as standard with a light. You also get a sort of more standard mountain bike wheel set, which gives you a wider range of gears. But I'll go on to a little bit more about that in a moment. But this, as you can see, is a long tail. There's plenty of space. It's designed to carry people on the back. Obviously I've got it fitted up with a big blue box because I generally take stuff and my dog in the back when I'm going to and from work. That is it. It's 26-inch wheels. The tyres on there are Schwalbe Marathon Plus, 10,000 miles, no punctures. Right, looking at the back end of the bike, as you can see, there's the steps, so you can stick people's feet on there or bits. I've got a Brooks saddle on currently. That's a B67 saddle. Right, now a little bit more about the back end and the gearing. As you will see, it's a 48 spoke rear wheel. That is massively strong, massively strong. You've got a 14mm bolt through solid bolt axle. That's mated to a 7-speed screw-on freewheel on here. Now I'm on my third freewheel, so I'm getting about, oh no, actually it's the second freewheel, so I'm getting 5,000 miles out of one of those. I'm about to change to the third. Disc brake on the other side, which I fitted on. It was originally for V brakes. Right, in here, this is underneath the back rack. That is a light mounted on a plate, which is specially designed in there to put a light on. The reason that is so great is it allows you to do the following. If you're short on space, you can store the bike up on its end, because this bike is 7 foot long. So it's quite a long machine. Right, so looking at the rear rack, excuse my little frog in throat. Looking at the rear rack here and everything, you can see clearly it's massively strong. The rear end of this bike, the whole bike is absolutely solidly built. The extra little round holes I've drilled in myself just to give me more attachment points there. So that is really useful, because I do strap things onto there a lot, even though I don't have people sort of sitting on the back generally. There we have that. Right, so front end of the bike, again it's a bolt through wheel on this one, which keeps things nice and stiff. And as I say, with the Schwalbe Marathon Plus tyres that I fitted on myself straight away, those tyres have been on there 10,000 miles now, not a single puncture. I've also got a disc brake that I fitted on the front. That's a 160mm disc brake, so standard sort of stuff. It's an Avid BB7 cable disc. They are really efficient, and you don't need anything else really. Looking up a little bit further, we've got the bread basket, which I fitted on afterwards. I had to buy it in afterwards. The metal grill I put on myself. I found that in some stuff, so I fitted that up, and that's been really useful. It's actually bolted directly onto the frame. Now the key thing with that is if you're carrying any weight over the front of a bike, you don't want the basket flopping about with the steering. You want the steering independent of the basket. It's a much safer way of doing it, so that's great. On the front end of the bike, so 21 speeds, it says 7 at the back, there's 3 at the front on this particular machine. I've got currently on there a 28, 38, 48 tooth. I live in fairly flat terrain, so that's absolutely fine for me. It just happens to be what I had when I wore the first one out. On the front end now, you've got a old-fashioned quill stem which has got an Allen key bolt in the top. The headset is a sort of like screwed down threaded fork. That is not a current system. They use an A-head system now, but that is the original headset, the original bearings. Absolutely no problem at all with any of that. Now, on my shifters, I've got a trigger fire shifter on one side and I've got a grip shifter on the other. That's just because I like to be able to put the front mech exactly where I want it, and that particular set, when I wore out the first set that it came with, that sort of allows me that setup. What else are we looking at here? Okay, the saddle, as I say, that's a Brooks B67. Very, very comfortable leather saddle, but you do need to keep them dry. Now, carrying the dog in the back. Let's have a little look at the way I do that. So obviously she's got a little blanket pad, keep her warm. Underneath that is a canvas pad which I use to cover the bike entirely when it's out in the rain at work. You know, if I sort of stop there and it's a rainy day. Then we've got a bit of padding. That's a waterproof bag for the saddle, just to put on underneath the canvas to protect that. 2 layers of padding, and then the box is zip tied directly into the frame. So there's four sets of zip ties just bolted on directly to the rack. This is the thing for a harness, just tied in there, a bit of cord, and that keeps her nice and safe on that rack. So there we go, there's the harness, and it's all nice and tight, and that's just clipped in on a little mini carabiner if I ever need to take it out. So that is that aspect of it. Look at that lovely bike, fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. The stand on it, this is a very important feature. It's a double-legged stand. It's very, very wide, and it's very, very stable. If you're going to be putting any sort of load on the side bits, you need it to be as stable as possible. Now, I got this bike from Practical Cycles. Practical Cycles no longer stock Yuba Mundo. Unfortunately, had a supply problem, I believe. But there are still stockists in the UK, or there is one, and you should be able to get a version 5 through them if you're interested. There's the details on the payload. As you can see, it is designed to take an awful lot of weight. I think the most I've ever had on is about 120 kilos, not counting myself. There's a sort of shot of it, da-da-da, and these are various shots from its past. So there it is on a nice sunny day, we do have them. There is the very dark moment that it actually got to 10,000 miles, which I'm very proud of. That is Wilma on the way to work, and that was -10 that morning. It was very, very cold. That, I believe, is the 8,000 mile shot at summertime. Wilma on the way home with some extra gardening tools and bits. So this is just the way it normally ends up sort of travelling. And this is the biggest load I've ever had, or the most awkward load. It's a 6 foot by 3 foot garden gate that we needed at home to replace. And that is Wilma's first ever successful trip home from work on the bike. That was a 9-mile journey. That was the first time she ever travelled on the bike like that. Thanks for watching, and review, rate, comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. I hope you've enjoyed this little narration.